The supposed trophies from his victims indicated the victim count could be much higher. He had traveled the highways in a box truck for years, collecting antiques and junk for resale and kidnapping young women. He took them in one city, tortured them for days, and dumped their bodies in another state, another jurisdiction, complicating any investigation. He had been too good at getting away with his crimes for law enforcement to believe murder was new to him. Men in their 40s didn't wake up one day as sexual sadists and start killing women. The seeds for that behavior were planted early on, were nurtured and festered for years. Aberrant behavior began small: porn, window peeping, panty sniffing, and escalated over the years. The first kill usually happened in the man's 20s or early 30s. Doc Holliday had been 38 when Dana Nolan buried a screwdriver through his temple and into his brain. The items in the photographs were almost certainly trophies, remembrances of the kill, something he could hold and look at and relive the crime. Sick bastard. Nikki stared at the picture of the nail clippings, some long, some short, some acrylic, some with what looked like the dried remains of blood on the underside. "That's just disgustingly weird," she said. Kovac asked, pulling his attention away from the wall-mounted television where the Travel Channel was beckoning viewers to explore winter in Sweden. No one else in the hospital lounge was paying any attention. "We live in Minnesota," Nikki said, looking up at the screen. "Why the hell would we go to Sweden in the winter?"
"They have a hotel made entirely of ice," Kovac said. "Even the beds are made of ice."
"That's not a selling point for me."
"What are you looking at?"
"The nail clippings. That's so creepy."
"Doesn't beat sun catchers made of tattooed human skin."
They had seen that once, too. The killer had cut the victims' tattoos off their bodies and stretched the hide on little hoops to dry, then hung them in a window in his home.
"True,"
Nikki conceded, "but still."
"The teeth creep me out,"
Kovac said.
"Sick fuck. I hope the lab can pull DNA out of them."
Kovac always looked like he hadn't slept in a night or two, a little rumpled, a little bleary-eyed. Harrison Ford after a 3-day bender. His salt and pepper hair was thick and stood up like the pelt of a bear. He had 10 years and half a lifetime of homicides on her. "You think we'll ever know how many girls he really killed?" she asked. He shook his head.
"No, but maybe we'll get to identify a few more."
Like that was a good thing, Nikki thought, being able to call more parents and tell them their daughters weren't missing anymore because they had been abducted, tortured, raped, and murdered by a serial killer. How many times had she imagined what it would be like to be the parent on the receiving end of a call like that? Every case, every single case. She thought of her boys, Kyle, 15, and RJ, 13. She loved them so much she sometimes thought the enormity of that emotion would make her explode because she couldn't possibly contain it all within her. She was barely 5'5", but her love for her sons was the size of Montana and as strong as titanium. She would have taken on an army for them. What if she answered the phone one day and the voice at the other end told her someone had beaten and strangled RJ to death? She thought of Jean Reiser, the mother of their first Doc Holliday victim. Her grief and her pain had seemed to cut through time and space to reach all the way from Kansas like a lightning bolt over the phone lines. What if someone called to tell her Kyle was in the hospital, clinging to life, the only known surviving victim of a sexual sadist? Nikki had been the first to speak to Dana Nolan's mother, Linda Mercer. The split-second, shocked silence on the other end of the line had seemed to Nikki as if the news had struck Linda Mercer as hard as the hammer blow that had fractured her daughter's skull. "If something like this ever happened to one of my boys," she said, shaking her head at the violent images that ran through it.
"I wouldn't want to be the guy who did it,"
Kovac said impassively. She gave him a serious look. "I'd fucking kill him, Sam. You know I would."